Hi writers and readers, I'm Christy Stratus, and today I'm back with another voiceover video. I hope you guys don't mind. This is just a little bit easier for me to edit and put together a little bit faster. So that works for my schedule right now, but I will be back to regular videos soon. So today we're going to talk about reading critically, but not just reading critically as a writer to improve your writing. And I'm going to start off with talking about if you're looking to write something that is outside of the norm for you, like a different genre. And then that's just going to be a quick thing. I'm going to move straight into actually reading critically. So if you are looking to write something brand new you've never written before and you want to sort of study it a little bit, which I do recommend, one thing that I'm doing is I'm about to write a mystery short story, and it's going to be in an anthology. And I really don't write mystery. I think that all stories include some element of mystery most of the time, but I don't strictly write mystery. And so I'm going to study that genre a bit before I begin writing. I really want to know how the genre works on sort of a deeper level, and that's why I'm going to start analyzing it deeply. I already started doing that, and what I always recommend is trying to make like a little list that includes books that sound interesting to you, of course, but include books that are from very different sort of subgenres within the genres, and that way you can really get a very well-rounded idea of what you're looking at for this genre. So, for example, with this mystery thing that I'm trying to write, or I will be writing, I have things ranging all the way from, Dr. Death by James Patterson to Mother's Day Murder by Leslie Meyer, and I've got Rather Be the Devil by Ian Rankin, and I've got Cockatiels at 7 by Donna Andrews. So you can see, like, it's a pretty wide variety. I'm just making sure that I cover every angle. I've got like amateur sleuth and professional detective, hard-boiled. I've got cozy, and I've got some more bloody types of things, and I've got a really wide range once I get into the details, and I really try to get like ones that focus on both angles, from both the murderer or whoever's perspective, the bad guy, the villain, and from the detective's perspective. So I'm really just trying to get a really wide range and be able to figure out sort of the inner workings, what's common between them, what's different, my opinions on them. And that's what I'm going to talk about today. Opinions are really, really important. So now I'm going to get into actually reading critically as a writer, because it's really very different from if you're just pleasure reading or you're reading critically as a student, anything like that. You're looking at, maybe symbolism, metaphors, what are the themes that are running through the book. You're looking at the author's style, maybe how their life influenced the style, stuff like that. But when you're reading critically as a writer, it's really important to establish your own opinions. But that sounds really simple. What is my opinion of the book? Do I like it? What do I like about it? But what we want to do is get really in depth with that. It's so important to understand the details of why you feel this way or that way. And the reason is because once you know the details, then the writing becomes actually much easier, and your versatility sort of expands. Problem solving becomes much easier as well. And I'm going to give you an example. Let's say I'm reading a book and it has a pretentious character. And I say, all right, you know what? I really hate this pretentious character. This book is difficult for me to read. It's not my favorite because of this pretentious character. Well, it's easy enough for me to say, I don't like pretentious characters, and that's it. Well, that's not leaving me with much detail. That's not leaving me with a reason why. And without a reason why, it's not really going to improve my writing. So I say, all right, I don't like this pretentious character, but why? Well, they just sound unrealistic. So that's one thing. It sounds unrealistic. Who speaks like this? Well, there are certain people who are going to speak like that. And another part of reading critically is saying, well, does it fit the book? And for example, I am reading a book right now that has a character that speaks in a pretentious way, but it really is kind of necessary to the character for them to make sense in the context of the book. So I can look at that and say, I may not like it, but it does actually work and it makes a lot of sense. So I may not like it, but that's just my opinion of, not liking a pretentious character. It really doesn't have to do with whether the book works or not, because the book does work. So that's really important, to be able to realize that and sort of step back, separate yourself from your own opinion and say, yeah, but does it work? Yeah, it does work. I just don't like it. Those are two very different things. So let's get back to this pretentious character. I don't like that he seems kind of unrealistic. All right. Well, but if he is realistic for the situation that he's in or the context of the book, then what is it that I really don't like about him? I don't like that he's using, if I really get into it, I don't like that he's using these ridiculous words that are never used in regular conversation. It sounds ridiculous. It sounds unbelievable. Or we could really think about it and say, you know what, it's going to get in the way of the reader, or it could get in the way of the reader, who's going to maybe pause over that word multiple times, every time they come across a word that you never hear in real life, that's so far out of the norm and is, we're using these ridiculous words over and over and over and constantly, different ones, of course. And so is that going to make the reader pause? Maybe that's my real concern when you have that kind of character. If it's going to make somebody pause and say, well, what does that mean? Even in the context of the sentence, I'm not sure. Maybe it's going to make them pause and say, I really don't like this character. Maybe it's going to make them pause and look it up. And if that's your concern, then you've nailed something down that you can then use in your writing. So when you're writing your book and you say, I could really use a certain type of character here, what am I looking for? And then you say, well, a pretentious character would actually be great to go across from this other, more down-to-earth character. Maybe you can then say, well, you know what? I don't like those kinds of characters, but how can I make this character work? Well, I don't agree with using these words that people aren't going to understand or that could get in the way of the reading. Take them out of the story and make them sort of separate from the character, not relatable. Okay, so what does that mean? That means I don't want to include those words. That means that my pretentious character, I have to work around that in a different way that still makes them pretentious, but not using that characteristic that is so common among this type of character. So that's something you just pulled out some details. You've just been able to analyze your own potential character, what you do and don't like, where you do and don't want to go with it, and how to work around it. Now you're really getting into the depth of, here's my problem solving skill. I'm able to problem solve this much easier than saying, well, why don't I want to write that? Or what else am I going to do? Or no, let's just pick it apart and say, okay, that characteristic, we're going to take out of that character. Now let's see what we have left. What can we work with? Does it still work? That's what I'm saying by reading really deep, reading very critically as a writer, really thinking about what you do and don't like and why. Always why. Don't let yourself get away with, I don't know, it just doesn't work for me. I don't like it. That's not good enough. You really have to come up with the reasons why. And yeah, it sounds like it's really time consuming, but once you start really getting into that, it starts to come very naturally to you. And you're going to find yourself just naturally thinking, well, why don't I like that? Here's the reason. And it gets more and more easy for you. And then when you're writing, you're going to find that, like I said, your problem solving skills are going to really improve. You're going to be able to work around things. You're going to be able to create characters that you and your reader like. You're going to be able to create more well-rounded works. And it's just going to really help you in general. So that's my basic idea of critical reading. If you would like to hear more about this, I could certainly share more with you, but that's the basic idea. And I hope that it helps you. It has really improved my writing. It has made it much smoother, much easier for me to sort of go back and edit and re-edit and realize why things are the way they are in my writing and how I do or don't want to write, even a genre that I'm used to or a character that I'm used to. So it really has made a huge difference to my writing, and I hope it will to yours too. So let me know if you do this kind of thing in the comments. Let me know if you have any other suggestions. I love hearing your opinions, and of course, as always, let me know if you have suggestions for other videos. I hope this helped you out, and thank you so much for spending time with me.